12th birthday, I was given a shotgun and I was also given a bulletproof vest. For my 12th birthday, I was given a choice to be able to go to the park instead of a play center. I met the local kids. That's when everything started changing for me. Young people are being used to sell drugs. I've learned about firearms, learned how to build phones. My whole year 7, instead of learning educations and all these things, I'm learning all of these things in the background. Like, even when I was in prison, like, twice I tried to kill myself. My solicitor turned to me and asked me, you always talked about change, but why don't you become that change?
Always Sosa.
I'm the definition of don't judge a book by the cover. I've been in parliaments, I've been in United Nations buildings. No matter who we are, we can make a change and we'll be accepted in any room if we actively make that effort. Even to this day on, I got enemies. I got people, it doesn't matter if I'm legit or I've turned my life around, they don't care. They will still blow off my brains because of whatever's happened in the past.
Hey up and welcome back to Andy's Man Club's Brew and Chat podcast. We're now on to episode 3 and we're still sponsored gratefully by Tetley's, so we're going to keep Tetley's in there today. We're going to start in Andy's Man Club fashion. I've got a phenomenal, inspiring guest today. Tell the audience your name and a positive reason why you're here today.
My name is Sosa Henkoma, and I would say for me it's to spread awareness using my lived experience.
Love that, mate. And we're going to dive into what that lived experience is in a bit. But I guess, Sosa, just start us off with, how's your week been?
Busy.
Yeah?
It's a busy start.
Tell us what's been going on.
I can't remember. Monday, I don't know where. On Monday, I travelled to Brighton to go see a young person.
Yep.
And then Tuesday, I was in university.
I love that. And what would you say has been a positive from your week?
I would say is the meeting with the organisation to find out that obviously the partnership is obviously going to go forward, and I'm going to be speaking in April in Austria.
Unbelievable. So tell us, for anyone who don't know, always Sosa. I don't even mean, before we even dive deep into your story, I mean, away from the campaigning work, away from what you're doing, who are you?
I would say the best way to describe me is don't judge a book by the cover.
Yep.
That's the best way to describe me. A lot of times, the way I look is far from what I actually am.
Yeah.
So that's who Sosa is. Sosa is literally that definition. Don't judge a book by the cover.
So who are you then beneath that cover?
Beneath that cover, I'm a father. I'm a father of daughters.
Yes.
I'm saying to you. I'm also a student. I'm a public speaker. And I would definitely say I'm someone who at one point was probably written off. A lot of people probably thought that, you know what, would not achieve half of the things I achieved. So I had to go prove them wrong.
I love that, man. I think one thing I could connect with you straight away on is being a father of daughters and the challenge and the way that they get as heartstrings. So what for you is it like being a dad? I imagine you'll have been on podcasts, you've done stuff, and I think what we're trying to do with Andy's Man Club podcast is just delve a bit deeper. I think a lot of the time we jump straight into what people on podcasts do, the clickbait and the headlines, but I want to get to know the bloke I'm chatting with. We're informal here, we're in front room of Andy's Man Club, and just tell me a bit what it's like being a dad for you. What's the highs, the lows, the challenges? Because
I would definitely say it's different, because for me, one of the most important things for me was to be a good dad. Although I never knew what a good dad was growing up, it was one of them things where I refused to be like my dad. So majority of the time I'll say I'm a soft type of parent, but I'm also strict.
yes,
Like, it's a balance. And I'll also say I'm a present parent. I'm someone that I rather like sit down and be there for my child rather than, I'll say, do too much. I feel like a lot of times people think the more that they do is the more that they show their kids love, but for me is actually spending time, especially being away from my kids and everything else. Now it's like I value all the time I get to spend with my kids, and yeah, I say that's the most important thing about being a dad for me.
Yeah, as you mentioned then, that's my biggest goal in life: be a good dad. That's number one. And I've got my values and what that looks like. I think we're very similar in our approach to parenting. Is that I think that in this modern day we bubble wrap kids and we want them all to we basically give them answer to everything, don't we?
Yeah.
Where I'm very much, a big saying in my house is work it out.
100. I believe in letting them make mistakes. I feel like a lot of times people always ask me, with all my experience, would I change anything? And I say no, because it's like them experiences is what makes me the man that I am now today. So for my kids, I'd rather them make mistakes, and I'm there to be that safety net for them, there to help them. I'll tell them, go. Literally, I'm not the one to sit down and say, don't fight my child. I'll tell my child, go fight.
Yes.
Go fight. You might get knocked out, but guess what? I'll be there to pick you back up, dust you off until you go back again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's where it is. I feel like in this generation, it's like, like everyone wants to, because of what's going on outside, it's easy for people to want to safeguard their children. And easily with you safeguarding your children, it can then turn you actually shielding them from certain things which might actually help them develop.
Yep.
And that's something I don't believe in. I believe that, especially with all the traumas I've been through, a lot of times people think that the type of parent I would have will probably be like really, really soft. But for me, I'll say I don't play with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't play with my kids. Like literally, they do something wrong, I'm the first one that's on them. Like, but you do everything right, me, I'll spoil you every day.
Yes. And I love that. What does being a good dad look like for you? What does that? So the way I always like to think about it is, because it's quite easy to come up with generic things in it, but your kids are sat there maybe long after we're both gone, and your kids are just sat there and they're just saying about all good things about my dad. What made my dad a good dad? What would you think they'd be saying? Or what would you like them hopefully in future basically and say?
I would say for my kids, I would like them to sit down and say that my father gave me all the tools I needed to survive, and also made sure that I had everything to survive.
Yep.
Like, those are the most important thing for me. It's like, obviously I don't have my dad no more, and then not having my dad no more, I really sit down and think to myself, what did I learn from my father? Really and truly, I'll say, in reality, nothing. Subliminally, a lot of things. And then it's like, on top of that, what did I gain from my father? I'll say my experiences. So I thank him for that too.
Yep.
So although that I might not have been given the same things I would like to leave my children with, I would definitely say my father left me with knowledge. And that was the most important thing. Not physically actually sitting there breaking it down to me, but his actions and his decisions, I'll say, led me to actually sitting down and thinking, okay, cool. This, I agree to this, I don't agree to that. And as a man now, I'm able to, I'll say, decipher what's right and what's wrong in my father's decisions. So,
and I think that's his job, right? His job is to take whatever were good from his parents and enhance it, take whatever we disagreed with that might not fit the current society, and bin that.
Yeah.
So either enhancing it or binning it. I think friendship groups, business, life, studying, you've got to acquire whatever knowledge and experience you can, and look and go, I went through this shit, but I don't want my kids to go through that. I need to steer them that way. And in my house, we often talk about standards.
Yeah.
So rather than being necessarily rules or strict, because you know what you've been through, and I was telling you earlier, like, I do a lot of work in prisons, a lot of work, and what we never do when we go in there is it's not around rules, it's not about preaching, it's around, let's have some standards, oh boys.
Yeah.
Let's have some just standard respects. And say with my kids, like, as you said, if they're going to play up or it's going to be a negative, listen, that isn't the place to do that.
100.
But if you want to strive to be a better human being, and don't worry, you're going to fall, I'm going to help pick you up at times. You also got to learn to pick yourself up at times as well, because that's the harsh reality of life. But I think it's a great point. And at Andy's Man Club, we always have this question number 3, which is anything to get off your chest. And how I'm utilising it on this podcast is, we've touched on your experiences.
Yeah.
But like, tell us a bit more. Tell us, like, take us back to start. Because I imagine, as much as there was some trauma and some horrific stuff that you've been through, and tell us back to like your childhood and, like, I guess, what was that like? 'Cause you mentioned your dad a little bit. You know, let me know a little bit more. And
I'll say my childhood. You know what? My childhood, yeah, to everyone seems like something that was crazy, but for me it was normal. Obviously, in the environment, I believe it's like, depending on where you live in the UK, that will be your normality. So for me, originally I wasn't born in this country. I was actually born in Nigeria.
Nice.
Yeah, I was born in Nigeria. But my mum, my mum disappeared at 2 because she was trying to make her way to Europe. And obviously in my culture we call it japa, so it means like leaving Africa illegally to try to get to Europe. So she tried and she disappeared. And in her disappearing, I would definitely say that was my early trauma experience. So from 2, I had trauma, but never really touched on it or called it trauma. But my father came around 5, so I actually met my father around when I was like 5 years old.
So you didn't know him before this?
I didn't know my father.
Wow.
My father was all the way in Europe.
And is that a cultural thing?
Nah.
Dad isn't around, or?
I wouldn't say it's a cultural thing. I would say that it's a thing where my father obviously was in Europe, so he was never around. And obviously my mum and dad weren't actually married at the time. So for my father, I would say that his main goal and his main objective is like provide. And that's why I feel like most men have that mindset. It's like you must provide. But then in us providing, we then forget that we are not actually there. Like we are not spending time, or we don't actually know our children. And that's what my father's mindset was. Provide, provide, provide. So in Nigeria I had everything you can think about, but I never had my father till like 5 after I lost my mum. And then having my father introduced to my father, it was a fact where my father wanted me to come to Europe to be with him.
Yep.
So he introduced me to his partner at the time, which obviously ended up being my stepmom. And at that time I went to boarding school at the age of 5 to the age of 7. So till I left Nigeria, I was in boarding school. And I say 5, yeah, it was alright being in boarding school, but different type of experience, especially being away from family and everything. But in when I turned 7, shortly, my father asked my stepmom to bring me to the UK, and that's when obviously I came over to the UK. So my I'll say from probably child to 7, I was in Nigeria, but from 7 now I was in the UK, and I spent probably just under a year with my family. And in the space of being in the UK for, I'll probably say less than a week, my stepmom became physically and also mentally abusive. So it was then learning how to survive rather than enjoying being in the UK and trying to fit in and everything else. It was more of a fact trying to learn how to survive at home, and also scared, I'll say scared majority of my childhood. I was scared a lot. I was scared of not knowing what's going to happen next. I was scared of not knowing what's going to happen now, like a lot of times. So she was obviously abusive, which led to me being put into care at the age of 8. As after running away, she gave me my first ever permanent scar, which was like on my head. I've had that since I was like 8. She hit me with her heels, and after she hit me with her heels, that's when I ran away, and obviously was taken to the local authority. And yeah, I'll say that's the first time I was put into care. That's my main early childhood experiences, I'll say. Yeah.
That's a wild one, isn't it? I'm just thinking back there, because the whole purpose of this podcast is to sort of highlight all the different elements, and so far on the podcast we've had Jordan who's been diagnosed with dementia at just 30-year-old, and Ben who lost his brother at 15, and just all these different platforms. And then yourself who's come here. Did you come here Jammer as well?
Nah, no, it's called Japa.
Sorry, Japa.
And now, I came on a plane. I came here, obviously my father requested me to come. I had a 5-year settlement for a bit, and then obviously I was put into care, and that went out of the window, and I was under the local authority.
So that point between your mum leaving and coming to UK, you still didn't see your mum?
Nah, my mum literally till now I've not seen my mum. My mum disappeared. Like since I was 2, my mum has been
so sorry, man.
It's like obviously even December I went to Nigeria for the first time in 20 years to go meet my family, my mum's side of the family, and to go find out what happened to my mum, and just find out like I got to meet other survivors who've taken that route and everything else. got to meet government officials who are obviously stopping it. So I got to find out roughly what it was like for her, but either way, I didn't get to obviously find my mom.
Still no answers.
Nah.
And you know, without delving too deep, but like, if you could, I guess, speak to your mum, what would you say to her?
I would want to know why. I'll definitely say it's why. A lot of times growing up, that was the biggest thing for me, was why. It's like, why did she leave? And it's very much, for me, that was probably one of the biggest trauma for me, was not having a mum. And then it's like growing up watching other people get picked up by their mum or their grandma, or all these like mother figures, and then it's like yearning for a mother figure your whole life. And then it's like, I think I got to a point where I think I got to the age of like 12, and I was like, yeah, no one ain't coming to save you. Like, this is it. You just gotta just protect yourself and push forward.
It's really interesting you say that, because I was just thinking about your journey and all emotions, and men, we struggle with emotions as it is, but you come to a new country, must be shitting yourself. There'll have been a little bit of excitement, you'll have had a lot of good stuff. When you're in Nigeria, I know my best friend at school, Reese Evans Adet, he came from Lagos, and he talks about that feeling of coming to school.
Yeah.
And like try to fit in. He came up north to Halifax, where he'd have been the only person of colour at our school, probably.
Yeah, that's bad.
And it were a whirlwind for him and fitting into that culture. So I can only imagine you've come here, no, you ain't got your mum, you're still yearning for answers. Your dad's still trying to provide, and I think it's really interesting about the providing thing, because I have to think about providing as a man and protecting, and I think providing and protecting are two strong words, but providing don't just mean financially. Providing means presence, emotionally,
everything.
spiritually, guidance. Protecting the same. You're not just protecting in terms of someone who's coming to attack you, you're protecting them to prepare them.
Yes.
And I think all that confusion, then you come here and you've probably had a little bit of nervousness but a little bit of excitement what's coming, and then boom, you meet this stepmom, and probably at first by it sounds like we're okay, and then it just quickly transpired into a real negative. And then can you take us through what happened, like, so once you've got to care, what's going through you? Because I imagine a lot of anger's building up about constant sort of like rejection, isn't there? And
I would say that obviously I say the main bit I felt rejected already, being in this country and everything else, and being away from my family in Nigeria. So straight away, especially for my father wanted me to fit in, so he tried to make sure I didn't really speak to people back home, and that there made me then feel like I lost all the people back home.
isolated.
So it was like now trying to then fit in a world where you don't know where you fit in. Then on top of that, it's like then being put into care, I then felt like I've lost all, like the only connection I had to my family. So now I'm in a strange country, strange families, everything is strange to me. And obviously I'm only 8, so I'm trying to be a people pleaser. So I'm trying to please all the responsible adults around me. Like, it's like whatever they say is a yeah. And I would also say that even with my first foster carer, like, she was lovely. She was obviously a temporary carer. I used to call her grandma. Everything was okay. My second carer, she was a lovely and amazing woman, but she was new. She was a new foster carer, and she was my permanent foster carer too. And I definitely say that they didn't prepare her. They didn't prepare her for what she was about to experience or the journey she was about to have. And in them not preparing her, it was a fact where there were certain things that happened which I would say broke the relationship at home first. Where I remember trying to call her mum, and that was something that was shut down. And then that being shut down, straight away I felt like I didn't belong in the household. Then being introduced to family members, and then I would say her nephew was probably one of the closest people I was with in that family. But then everyone else was very much like they were there, and they would 100% probably try to help me fit into that family. But from that conversation with my foster carer, it was like there was no point fitting in, because no matter how hard I try, I'm never gonna be like accepted in this family. So that's, I'll say it's something that goes through a lot of foster children's mind.
Yep.
But a lot of times it's like, for a foster carer's perspective, we're trying everything. But for a foster child's perspective, it's like we don't know where we belong. And it's like you can try everything, but till we feel like we belong, it's going to be very difficult for us to feel comfortable, or for us to trust, or for us to feel connected. So for me, it was hard. But I would say my life changed a lot from year 6 to year 7, where I was with my permanent foster carer and I was given autonomy. I was given a choice to be able to go to the park instead of a play center. But being given a choice to be able to go to the park, my birthday is in May, so I got a BMX for my birthday, and I was very happy. Couldn't wait to go on my bike and to just have fun. And I'll say that that's when everything started changing for me, where I met the local kids, and in meeting the local kids, they were a bit older than me. Obviously introduced me to a world of county line straight away. And when describing county line, I'll say county line is a problem where young people are being used to sell drugs.
Yep.
So for them, it was like straight away, could you deliver this? At that time, I was 11. I didn't know what drugs were. I didn't know what I was delivering. And I've just been in the country for probably less than 2-3 years. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm trying to just make friends. Delivered it. That got done. Then came back. Okay, you're a cool guy. They like me. Delivered a few things that same day. Came back. You're a cool guy. We like you. Everything's Gucci. Then I would say that by next week, I'm not in and out of that park. I'm constantly delivering things for them. By the end of that week, I'm being introduced to their elders. And being introduced to their elders, I was told to, if I wanted to go away for a week. But for me, at that time, I couldn't go away for a week. What am I going to say to my parent? Obviously, my foster carer. So they said to me, why don't you do a day? Like, we'll pick you up in the morning, we'll drop you back in the evening. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, like, what, I can do that. And I'm saying to you, and for me at that time, I'll say it's more of a fact of, a lot of times people have this idea of like young people get involved with selling drugs because they want to make money. At that time, for me, it was not about making money, or let's say, even when I was doing all them stuff at the park, I was not getting paid. So it was not about money. It's just finding a place that I belong, a place that I fit in, a place that no one is judging me, no one is, especially in year 6. Like, my whole primary school experience, coming from Nigeria and everything else, I was bullied a lot because I was told I was fresh off the boat, all of these different things, which for me, it was like, I didn't feel like I fitted in school.
Yep.
Then I was being abused at home. I didn't feel like I fitted at home. Then it was like, where do I fit in this world? And then being in care, didn't really feel like I fit at home. And then in school already, because of that whole thing of being bullied already, I'm still, although that I'm in a different environment, I've been put in now in a foster placement, I'm still getting bullied in school. It doesn't change anything. So for me, that summer in year 6 was like, meeting these people was like a sense of like, I found home. Do you know what I mean? I could sort of feel just where you were at as a man, young man. Reject. No matter how hard you tried, just reject, and then suddenly, ping, acceptance. That's it. And it's like, to me, it was like, I was saying, when they told me to go away for the day, I was like, okay, cool. Then the day came, they picked me up in the morning next to the park, went away. And I'll say what sold it to me the most then was when they told me that I'm going to be with my friends. So for me, I thought to myself, bro, I'm going to be with the friends, I'm going to be with the boys, calm, all right. But on the way there, all my friends were dropped off at different locations. And then we got to a location at the end in Kent. So originally, I lived in Kent when I first came into the country. Then I moved to southeast London. But when now I'm being taken to my first ever county line, it was back in Kent. So I'm taken to, obviously, I think it was Margate at the time. Taken to Margate, and I was introduced to a cuckooed house. So it's a house, a cuckooed means a house that's taken over by a drug gang. So they obviously, we call it trap houses. We don't call it cuckooed or whatever it is. We call it bandos on trap houses. So I was taken into the house and introduced to an addict. And after being introduced to the addict is a fact of now where I would say they're now introducing me to things like banking. So banking is where you're being told to conceal drugs inside of you. So for me, it was like, that was my first red flag. It was like, this is weird.
Yep.
But they're doing it in front of me. They're doing it too. So I'm thinking to myself, this is okay then. This is normal. So I done it. Then they told me they explained to me drugs in a simple colours. Like, this is light, this is dark. Like, if someone wants free light, you go into the light parcel, you give them light. If they want one dark, you go into the dark parcel, you give them dark. If they want both, you go into whatever, get both, and that's it. So for me, it's colours. I'm giving this guy colours, and he's going out of the house and he's coming back with cash. Simple. So after like 30 minutes being around them, they said they're gonna leave. They're gonna come back later. So I thought to myself, okay, cool, not a problem. And I stayed there for the day. Evening came, trying to get hold of the people that brought me there. No one answered. And second day came, still trying to get hold of them. No one answered. Third day came, still trying to get hold of them. No one answered. But then heard a knock on the door on the third day, and I thought it was them. But instead, it was a rival gang raiding the house. And at that point, I had a shotgun being pointed at me, and I was 11 at that time. And I just had them constantly asking, where's the stuff? Where are they? Where is this person? Saying names, but didn't really understood who that person was, understood what they were talking about when they're talking about the stuff, because they're calling it what it is. So didn't understand. But the person who had a gun being pointed at me, he remembered my face. So he took off obviously his bandana at the time and started talking to me. He was like, oh, what are you doing here? All of these things. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like, I know you. Like, and he's like, oh, we're going to get you home. Took me back home. And taking me back home, obviously I was grounded by my foster carer, because straight away, I never disclosed to my foster carer what happened to me, because at that time I was more scared of being moved from that placement.
Right. So
for me, it was more of a fact of, if I said something, would she then move me? And especially I'm talking about guns, and I'm not talking about the other stuff. Like the other stuff, I never fathomed or thought anything was wrong with the other stuff. The main thing that stopped me from telling my foster carer was that, one, I had a gun being pointed at me, and two, it was these people that dropped me home. So I thought to myself, oh, can I actually say that? And would she then stop me from living here? So I didn't say anything. So it's like, I'm beginning to understand care. I don't understand outside world, but I understand now how care works, because I already been moved from my temporary carer to my permanent carer. So I didn't understand that it was a temporary and this is permanent. That's where he was moved. I understood that I was comfortable with my temporary carer, and I was still moved. So for me, anything, they will move you.
Yes.
So that was what was in my head. So I didn't say nothing. I was grounded, didn't have a phone. And I started year 7 and I had a phone now. And in starting year 7 and having a phone, I started getting phone calls straight away. And these phone calls were from the people who took me to Kent in the first place. And they were like, I owe them money, I owe them drugs. And if I don't get them back their stuff, they're going to kill my foster carer and her son. So for me at that time, I'm panicking. I'm 11, I'm panicking, thinking to myself, oh my God, they're gonna kill my people, like what's gonna happen? So one thing I will say before disclosing this is that the Modern Slavery Act was introduced in 2015, and the Modern Slavery Act is what identifies people as survivor of modern day slavery, and that is also criminal exploitation and everything else. That's what I fall under. But at this time, no one knew what the Modern Day Slavery Act was, or knew kids to being exploited. It was more of a fact of kids are being naughty. So when now I went to go disclose it at a looked after child review meeting, which is a LAC review, where all the professionals who are involved in a child's life are in that meeting, it was a fact where I was told that I must be fantasizing because a boy my age couldn't be experiencing something like that. So for me, it was like, they're not going to help. And because they're not going to help, the best thing for me to turn to was the people who came into the house that day and brought me back home. So I'll say a couple of days after the LAC review, I went to the area that my foster care nephew chilled in. So I went to the area where I used to chill with him and that where his friends used to be, and obviously found these friends. And in finding these friends then told me and explained to me what I'll say became my life. And that was, no matter what you do, a violation is a violation. In the world where we're from, we don't take violation. So it doesn't matter if you give them their money or their drugs. Either way, they're still gonna want blood. So, at that time, I think he was 19, 20. A 19, 20-year-old went round the corner and gave me my first revolver at the age of 11. And I was told to come back the next day to learn how to use the firearm. And I'll say in my next coming weeks, I was taught how to strip a firearm, put a firearm together. I was taught how to use a firearm. And then I was taught how to transport a firearm. And then I started doing weekend trips. So it started, because I was still in year 7 at the time, it started with going to school Monday to Friday. After school, I might go back to the block and chill with my elders and maybe make money for them going to go do this or do that. But then weekends is when we get busy. Weekend, I'm being sent from morning all the way to like places like Liverpool, Manchester, to go pick up firearms and then bring it back to London. So that's when we was getting, so normal weekday, Monday to Friday, school day. Weekend, I'm going to go pick up firearms. And then after that, it was like, we got enough firearms now. It's like literally, we got enough firearms. So what they then decided to do was then said, okay, cool, we're going to send you into the county line. So I'll say first couple of months, only firearms. I was only introduced to firearms, knew how to use firearms, knew the whole process of using bodysuits, latex, the whole thing, like learned the whole procedures. Then after that, learned county line. So it's like, imagine school and having terms. It's like my first term, learned about firearms and using firearms. Second term, learned about drugs. And that's where it was. They taught me about drugs. Now, what I thought was colours, now I'm now being told it's crack cocaine. What I thought was obviously dark is now being told it's heroin. Then I'm taught how to, from before 10 and 12, I'm taught how to turn coke into crack. Then taught how to bag it up. Then I then became the person taking it over to the people who were over in county lines. Then after that, I was then put into my own spot where now I'm now there in the area. And I would say even at that moment of time, it was a fact where I was mainly put there to go get more clients. So I was not actually put there to be in a trap house or in a cocooned house. I was actually put there to walk around the town, get numbers and all of these type of things. So I learned how to build phones. So I learned how to build phones from very young age.
What,
so
you're about 12 now at this?
Nah, I'm still 11.
Still 11.
Still 11. I learned how to build phones in the whole, this is my whole year 7. So from my whole September, and let's say we break up in July and all of that. So September all the way to like, let's say April, this is what's happened. I've learned about firearms, learned how to build phones. Like my whole year 7, instead of learning educations and all these things, I'm learning all of these things in the background. Then before the end of year 7, I started having issues because where my school was, it was in a rival's territory to the gang that I was connected to. But obviously social services don't know nothing about that. And most of the time, for my foster carer, when she was looking for schools, she was thinking to herself, she doesn't want me to go to certain schools where she's heard it's bad experiences, bad people, whatever. So she put me in school far away from obviously the area we were from and now we were living. Not far, but good 40 minutes, enough, 45 minutes to get to. So in going to school, all my year 11s belonged to the rival gang. And obviously year 7s are new to the school. So you know how it is in schools. Even year 11s are trying to groom the year 7s to get involved into the gangs. So a lot of times it was like, oh, where you from? All of these type of things. Obviously didn't really, I told them obviously where I was from. And where I was from fit them because they're linked to that gang. But the gang that I'm actually connected to is their enemy. So they didn't make that connection at first. Then as the year 7 period went, they made a connection now where it was like, you're always in Charlton. You're always in this area. Who do you know in these areas? And that's when it was like, okay, cool. Do you know this person? And I'm like, I don't know this person. And obviously they're asking about my foster carer's nephew, because the weird thing about it is I look like my foster carer's nephew. From a young age, I look like a spitting image of him.
Yeah.
So it was like very hard to try to deny him. Then I kept on laughing it off, because when I get nervous, I laugh and I smile. So a lot of times it's a mask that so I don't show that I'm nervous. But they kept on taking it like I'm mocking it, like I'm laughing at them and everything else. So it was very much every time they used to try to beat me up. It became like, it started that whole year 7 versus year 11 type of rivalry over this, because it was like, he's always smiling, he's always laughing at us. Like, so they started beating all year 7s. They started beating up all year 7s, and we started obviously trying to swing back for the year 11s. Then towards the end of year 7, like we're talking really towards the end of year 7, coming to summertime now, finished school, on the way to the chicken shop. That's where everyone goes to after school, on the way to the chicken shop, which is like 5 minutes away from the school. I ended up being stopped by a couple year 11s and a couple people who were older, and they weren't in no uniform. So I just assumed they were not in the school, and they were older than us, older than the year 11. And it was the older ones not in the school asking the questions, not the year 11s now. And they were asking me like, how do you know this person? And who are you to this person? And I'm like just laughing, like not thinking anything of it. And all of a sudden I saw everyone pulling out knives, and that's when I thought, okay, time to run. I ran for like 15 minutes before I ran out of breath, and then I just dropped. But when I dropped, that's when I found out I was bleeding. And it was like I never knew who stabbed me. It was the whole period of running away, I got stabbed. And that was the first time I ever got stabbed. But now, what I want to touch on now is from when I first got involved with my elders, when they touched on the fact of you need a firearm, because no matter what you do, they're going to harm you. Then at the end of year 7, I'm now being stabbed. After being in hospital, obviously the next time I woke up was in hospital. Spent a couple months in hospital, then I was released. As soon as I came out of the hospital, it was the fact where my exploiters told me, we told you it was going to happen. We told you they were going to come after you. That's why you needed your firearm. That's why we gave you the revolver. That's why all of these things. Then on top of that now, for my 12th birthday, because I spent my 12th birthday in the hospital. For my 12th birthday, I was given a shotgun. So a twin barrel shotgun with 2 triggers. And I was also given a bulletproof vest for my 12th birthday by my elders. And then at the age of 13, I'm being arrested for possession of a shotgun without a certificate, and I'm looking at criminal convictions.
That's wild. And what do you do then with yourself? Because you've gone from all this rejection to ultimate acceptance. Probably these elders now are peering dad-like, because they're like, they know the answers.
Yeah, they're like,
I'm down there where they don't know me. I'm back up here now, and I've been stabbed like they said I would. And I can't even begin to imagine what that feels like. I know from a men's perspective, we talk about wearing that mask and pretending everything's okay, but how does that then, what happens then, 13-year-old?
I'll say after 12, after being stabbed and everything else, I was fully involved.
You game on now, it's
I was
all
fully involved. There was no doubt about that. I was fully involved. Anything I was asked is how high. Literally, anything I was asked, I done. Literally everything you can think about, I was fully involved.
And is that because at that point then it's like, well, these were right, the other people accepting me, other ones who were saying they got my back?
Yeah, I would say a lot to do with that, but also to the fact where I would say at that time, like I said, social services and everyone didn't really know how to deal with all of these things at that time. But it was like social services never believed that I was being exploited. So although that I told them that I was never a child that was secretive about what was going on in my life, because I never knew it was a secret. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you?
100%.
So I would tell them, I would tell people this is what's happening, and it's very much like he's fantasizing. It's not happening. It's
too young.
It's too young. Like, and they only believed that I was being exploited when we had, I'll probably say, more than 30, 40 people outside of the social services building saying, if that boy does not come outside, we're going to go inside and kill him. And they're talking about, we call the police. We don't care about the police. Like, that's when they believed that, okay. And even then, they didn't believe that I was being groomed. They believed I was involved in gangs. They believed I was a gang member. So do you know what they done? They treated me like a gang member. They didn't treat me like someone that is under the age of 13 and he is actively being threatened by grown children, like grown children or young adults. Like, they didn't look at it like that. They looked at it as he's a gang member. So we have to protect ourselves.
So obviously they aren't taking you seriously, 13-year-old. What's then that next decade, I guess?
I would say
chaos, I imagine.
Yeah, 13 to 16 was chaotic. I ended up being arrested. Ended up being what do you call it? Ended up being remanded. And my co-defendant at the time, who was 6 years older than me, ended up disappearing. So he went on the run. So when they arrested him, they gave me bail because obviously I was still a child. So they gave me bail. And in then giving me bail, my elders told me at that time to disappear. They told me that if I went missing, then it's like going missing from a placement, like going missing from a foster carer or whoever it is. So it's not an issue, it's not a problem. But not actually knowing that I'm absconding bail. And then absconding bail comes with another criminal conviction. So ended up obviously being on the run for like 9 months in that whole 13 to 16. Ended up being on the run.
Jetting about London here? Jetting about London?
Nah. So even when I ended up being, so first, the funny thing about it is I was taken to Wales. So social services, when I was given bail, they took me to Wales. And obviously for me, I've always had hair. So I remember asking them to basically bring me to a city so I can get my hair done or to get food and everything else. But for them, it was just, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. Called my exploiters, and that's when they came and picked me up. They made sure that I didn't go into London. So at that time, I was basically, if we're going to put it in the terms of football, I was on loan. Like literally. So imagine being on loan for like a loan for the whole season. So I'm being loaned to different football teams, so different gangs. And then it's like been Birmingham, I went to Coventry, Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool. I was everywhere, like literally. And I was just involved in with different gangs, different people, different scenarios, different places, building phones for them. Like ended up, I'll say in that whole time, that 9 months, probably built more than 14, 15 phones. Like, and they sent other people there. So when now my co-defendant was obviously found not guilty, I was told I can come back into London. And I came back to London, in less than 24 hours I was arrested. And after being arrested now, I found out that my co-defendant was found not guilty because he blamed everything on me in court. So now I was found guilty and I'm now looking at a sentence. Came out at 16. So at that time I was at 15, didn't really do that long. So I've done 13 to 14 in prison. I'll say majority of my 14 years I was on the run. Then 15 to 16 back in prison. Then came out like when I was just before turning 16 and I felt betrayed. So angry now and
violated.
Yeah, feel violated. And obviously remember what the code is. Violation does not slide. You know what I'm trying to say to you? And because violation does not slide now, I'm now my exploiter's worst nightmare. Because not only have you taught me the game, you've now also made me your enemy in the game. So I remember turning to my exploiters and asking them, what happens if I wanted to sign out? And I remember them laughing, saying that if you choose to sign out right now, what happens is that, one, the police has a firearm marker on you. So if I'm stopped by the police, even to this day, it has to be armed police. I can't be stopped by normal police.
Yep.
That's the first thing. So you're known to have firearms. Cool. The second thing now is that you have rivals, you have enemies. We've got enemies for days. Like, even to this day on, I got enemies. I got people, it doesn't matter if I'm legit or I've turned my life around, they don't care. They will still blow off my brains because of whatever's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the second one. The third one now is we will turn on you. So I thought, okay, now I'm stuck in a position. I need to now make a decision on what I'm going to do next. So I started learning how to distance myself away from the gang, and I ended up basically doing my own thing. And obviously what started happening was that a lot of olders who I've been loaned to, so in that time I was sent on loan, a lot of olders who I was loaned to then became my exploiters in a way, but they tried, I'll say in at that time I looked at them as helpers, because what happened was that if I wanted firearms, oh, you're beefing your olders, we'll give you firearms. You want drugs? We'll give you drugs. Just make sure we get this amount of money. Make sure this happen. If we give you a firearm, make sure you come to this county line we've built and turn off all the other workers there, so it's only our worker there. So it's like more exchange. They wanted us to do things for them. And I became my oldest worst nightmare too, because when they're sending their workers up, I'm telling their workers run away. And then on top of that, I'm being given firearms by other exploiters and other olders. I'm telling them workers are running away, I've got you, I can protect you, so run away and we'll split the bread. And just to make sure I got my orders. So I became my oldest worst nightmare. At the age of 19, I had my daughter just after turning 18. My first daughter just before turning 18. But before my daughter, the first month of my child, I would say, had a son. And he was the one that taught me how to be a father. It's me and him. And it's like, before then, I was very suicidal. Didn't care about myself, because in my head, it's like obviously my dad died when I was in prison. So I came out and my father was dead. So for me, it's like, I don't have a mum, I don't have a dad. What's the point of living? It's like, I don't see the point. So for me, it was just very much suicidal, didn't care, put myself in a lot of dangers. It's even when I was having the issues with my elders and that, it was very much, I'm at the forefront of it, because I wanted them to kill me, because not only because of the betrayal of being hurt by them, but also the fact of like, I don't have anything left, and you lot took yourself away from me.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just wanted to go. So from 16 to 19, very suicidal. But little man was probably the reason why I kept on still fighting.
What did he do?
He was just him. He didn't do anything. It was him coming into my life, meeting my partner at that time. She was my partner at that time, meeting her. It was like being there, taking him to school, all of these things started giving me reason to live.
Yes, man.
And hope. Then
that's all we all need, right? Hope.
That's it. So I held on to that, and then I had my own daughter. But even though I had my own daughter, a lot of times people will say, oh, didn't you change then? Nah, because in my head, the only way I knew how to make money was selling drugs and robbing other drug dealers. That's the only way I knew how to make money.
Yep.
So in my head at that moment of time, I didn't make that active change at that moment of time. But instead what happened was my elders from my block gave me a choice. They told me, you can hold a firearm overnight and we won't have no issues with you. No problem. It will be done. You can live in West with your family and everything's good. So I thought to myself, raw, perfect deal. You wouldn't take that deal. Took the deal, and then at 6 o'clock I was given the firearm. 4 o'clock in the morning I'm being raided by armed police because they had an intel that had a firearm in the house. Because for my exploiters at that time, it was like, he's too much of a problem to deal with head on. So we had to find a different way to obviously to deal with him. So in that process, I would say that it was bang to rights, firearm in the house. On top of that too, found in the mother of my child's house. So I could not plead not guilty, because if I plead not guilty, then they'll arrest the mother of my child because it's found in our household. So pleaded guilty straight away, took my sentence, and then later on found out that the girl that I was seeing at the time, so I ended up breaking up with my partner, the mother of my child, ended up seeing someone else, found out the girl that I was seeing at the time was then pregnant with my second daughter. So I ended up having my daughter in prison, ended up doing all the parenting courses. Then towards the end of my sentence, I was facing deportation. So being sent back to Nigeria, and that's when I was introduced to my solicitor, my immigration solicitor, who at the time didn't really know much about exploitation, but she just knew that what she saw on paper and the person she met in real life were two different people.
Yep.
And she wanted to know why. So she asked, how did you get here? And that was the first thing. And I just remember just sitting there thinking to myself, what do I have to lose? Like, it's going to take us time to know how I got here. But if you're here to listen, then let's get it. Let's do it. So she came every day for, I think, like for a good week. And we went through my whole lived experience, my whole life. And then the next week, brought a psychologist. We went through my whole life again with a psychologist. And they both came in the room and told me, we think you've been groomed. And I remember just turning to them and saying, if I've been groomed, then everyone in this wing must have been groomed. Because my next door neighbor is in prison for his older. My other next door neighbor, he's in prison because his older brother didn't want to take the charge. Like, we talking about, this is what we do. Like, this is what we do, is normal. Like, how can you sit down and say that I've been exploited, I've been groomed? It didn't make no sense to me. But I told them, do what you do. You know, you're the solicitor. Do your job. You know what I'm saying? And she done exactly that. I'll say she was the only hope I had in prison. She was the only person that was there. Like, even when I was in prison, I remember twice I tried to kill myself because I couldn't fathom the fact of going back to Nigeria and not being a father to my kids.
Yep. It
didn't make no sense to me, especially after going through all the parenting courses, trying to become a better dad.
Yep. And
then now I don't get given the chance to actually become that better dad to my kids. But she was my life support. But ended up being released out of prison, and I couldn't work for 2 years. So I couldn't work or study for 2 years because I was obviously under bail from immigration.
Yep.
But I was also under probation, sent to Manchester, ended up being introduced to my probation officer. But I've also gone through now as being identified as a survivor of child criminal exploitation, because I went through the positive and also the conclusive ground decision.
Yep.
So I'm now classed as a survivor, and now my probation officer, she noticed the same thing as a solicitor. So she thought, you know what, I'm not best to deal with you. So she introduced me to a trauma-informed advisor, who then started helping me understand my trauma. So when I was given my status, and I was released out of prison in 2020. So I was released February 2020 out of prison. And then when I was then given my status in 2022, it was a fact where my solicitor turned to me and asked me, you always talked about change, but why don't you become that change that you want to see in the world? And for me, it was like, how do I do that? And she's like, leave it to me. And she put me in a course with the Human Trafficking Foundation, which obviously they got funding from the Home Office. Yep. To train people with lived experience to be able to use their lived experience. So it was trainer course. And I remember doing the trainer course and delivering at the end, training to NHS, like probation, police, all of these different people. The first time ever delivering training, it was online, obviously. And I thought to myself, they're all clapping. They're all saying thank you and all of these things. Like, what did I do? And I didn't understand at first, and I thought this was strange. I thought it was weird, but they appreciated it.
Validated you.
Yeah.
Accepted you.
I thought, okay, cool. You know what? I want to do more training. So I could end up doing more training, end up staying with the Human Trafficking Foundation, then ended up growing and building connections. And also, I'll say before being introduced to the Human Trafficking Foundation, I was introduced to my mentor. My mentor was someone who himself, I'll probably say, was probably exploited, but he doesn't look at it as exploitation. But he was I would say the perfect mentor is someone who has something to offer that child. I don't think anyone and everyone could become a mentor.
Yep.
That's the honest truth. Because for me at that moment of time, he was a great mentor because I saw him as the light at the end of the tunnel. He was a successful story already. To me, he's a businessman. He owns properties. He owns these type of things. So you've basically told me that you went from being involved in criminality and now you transformed your life around and now you're not a property developer.
Now you have got hope, haven't you?
So I'm now thinking, okay, and now you're my mentor. Now teach me how you got to where you got to.
Yep.
Like, that's how the conversation started. Then I remember he helped me open my first company. And now, even till now, I trade under that company. I'm a CEO of my own company.
Love that.
I deliver training. I'm also a director of a CIC. I'm about to open up a charity this year, which is focused on helping kids of CCE. I'm a student governor. I'm a public speaker, not only for the UK but also internationally. Like, I'll say advocate for change. Like, I'm also a mentor for young people, and I'm currently studying criminology and sociology university. For me, being kicked out of school in year 9, or just not even started year 9, the end of year 8, and going into year 9, being kicked out of school and being told by teachers, oh, you're gonna end up in jail and spend the rest of your life there. You're gonna die before 21. I remember turning 25. No, before 25. And I remember turning 25 and just standing there thinking to myself, you know what? I've literally achieved a mad thing. And they told me I wouldn't do that.
Yep.
And that's why I started this conversation with, I'm the definition of don't judge a book by the cover. I've been in parliaments. I've been in United Nations buildings. I've been in all different platforms to speak. And for me, even modelled for Burberry, like literally, and every single thing I've done, I'll definitely say some of them are random things, but it's to also show young people, no matter who we are, how we look like, what we wear, it doesn't matter. We can make a change and we'll be accepted in any room if we actively make that effort. So that's why I do everything I do. Even my university degree, I think to myself, oh, that's the headache. But for me at this moment in time, the university degree is more than me. It's to show other young people we can do it. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, my last guest asked a question and he didn't know we're on next. But I think these last 2 questions to finish are going to be, the first one's great. What's the bravest thing that you've ever done and why?
I would say it's changing my life. A lot of times people don't understand that I grew up being told violence was okay. So a lot of times, imagine, I remember one of the funny thing about it is that I went into, I remember a professional meeting, and then this is when I first started, and the person was just literally, I think they were just being disrespectful because it was a fact of they don't understand, because they think lived experience. Who's lived experience? Like, who are they? Like, that's how they were trying to deal with me. And then I remember in my head sitting there thinking, brother, if I butt you on the roads on a let's say 2-3 years ago, I would have ripped your head apart. Like, but you know what? Woosa. Like, let's keep calm. Woosa. Yeah. Those were the biggest, I'll say, and bravest thing I had to do in my life, was change my whole way of reacting.
Your identity.
Everything. Literally letting go of everything and accepting that I don't know nothing. Imagine that as an adult.
As a man.
Literally. And also as a man. As an adult, as a man. And then also watching everyone else your age pretend like that they know everything. And you're just there like, it's like, is it too late?
Yep.
Like, so for me, it was making that change. And then now, obviously, seeing the rewards of that change. And I'm happy that I continued and I kept on thriving to be a better person.
It's inspiring. Especially going through everything you've been through. Where suicide prevention charity, you get in there and then making that. I always say that it's got to come about an acceptance for someone where they go, what I'm doing or how I'm living ain't where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to take accountability and then make that change. Last question, quick fire. If you could live in any movie or TV show, what would you choose? And it can be anything. It could be fun.
Ooh. Movie or a TV show. I'm trying to find a fun TV show. Like,
last episode, I chose The Simpsons.
Oh, nah.
What are you going with?
Nah, man. I'm trying to look for somewhere where like, they're all rich. I'm trying to look for somewhere where they're all rich. Like, I want to be in that show.
We'll stay away from Top Boy.
Nah, hell no. Hell no. No Top Boys, no paid in
power.
full, no power,
What you
none
going
of that. I want that Secret Life of a Billionaire or something,
Right,
or
nice.
millionaire, like literally.
And I want you to give me 2 questions for my next guest. So it's got to be a powerful, reflective and why, and it's got to be something a bit funny.
I would say, if you could change something in the world, what would it be and why?
Yep. And then
That's
a
the
quick
first
fire
one.
fun one.
The fun one is, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
Nice.
We're going to make a
I
bit of
love
laughter.
that. And to finish, Sosa, because I think you've been a phenomenal guest, and I think people are going to take some, great inspiration around change and what people go through, and also opening up the world of gang life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma that people don't understand, and But what is your one final piece of message? It could be on a billboard, could be on a poster, could be just that one. Someone listening now, you want to give them one big piece of
I would say,
inspiration. What would it be?
there's slightly two. It's like, treat every child as if they're your own, and if you're not a parent, or like treat everyone as if they were your own family members or your own child. And if you were not a parent or don't have any young person in your family, to treat everyone as if you would want yourself to be treated.
Love that.
Like, that's something I live by. So it's something that, like, I feel like if the world lived by that, they wouldn't do anyone wrong.
100%. So,
yeah.
it's been genuinely an absolute pleasure. We've ran well over what we planned, and I just felt like we had to keep going there. So thanks for joining me for Brew Chat. I hope we cross paths again, and I'm excited and inspired to continue to watch your journey and all the people that you're going to help.
Thank you very much.
Legend.
Thank you for having me.